So welcome everyone to our second D&I panel series. I'm so excited about today's panelist, where we'll hear from our amazing and fearless women at Wind River across the world. And what better day to celebrate it with an International Women's Day here in North America. So, for those who don't know, International Women's Day is a special day to commemorate the cultural, political, social, economic achievements of women throughout history and in present days. It helps us to bring attention to issues such as, gender equality or gender parity. So in today's panel, we're going to hear from them, and while they share with you their personal stories, experiences, journey, and in doing so, we hope it creates, real awareness around sometimes the struggles women, face in personal and professional life, and hopefully really forge positive change for women and for all. So with that, I'm going to pass over to Sarah, who will start the panel.
Thank you so much, Therese, for that wonderful introduction for all of us. And thank you to everyone who's joined us on the line today. So thank you to our panelists as well for joining us and being willing to share from your own personal experiences. To really kick us off, would love to learn a little bit more about how each of you chose your respective career path or job function. So if we could just go around to each of you to hear about that, who would like to get us started on that?
So I would say my career path started from an early age, being told you can do anything you want to. And with a love and passion for science and solving problems, it headed me to be exposed to engineering. So my degrees started in engineering, and that led me to a career that was software to systems to product management to business, to overseas, and just interactions, looking for what that challenge is and what that impact is that you can make. So I'm always looking for that. And so things never stayed the same in terms of my career path and my goals in terms of where can you make an impact, how do you learn, and what can you try next? And that's why I'm here.
So I'm pretty much what you would call like the embodiment of the American dream. My parents immigrated to this country, or to the US. I realized we're doing EMEA in the US. And they emphasized education. And so I knew I was going to get a grad degree, more than just a undergrad degree. And so I got a legal degree. And then, like Stephanie, I followed what I was good at. I was good with customers, I was good with clients, and I was good in an in-house position. And so that's how I gravitated to this position.
Excellent. Thank you to all of you for sharing a little bit about your backgrounds and what led you to where you are today. Over the past year plus, we've had some really interesting things happening in our world, and it's changed a lot of the way that we work and where we work. And so one of the big topics that's come out, especially for International Women's Day, is work-life harmony, work-life balance, and what all of that means and looks like for us across the world.
I would just add, I always keep a picture in my mind through my career, and it's of one of those juggler plate spinners that has things up high and down low, and some of them are breakable and some of them bounce as they hit the ground. And so I've always viewed it as things change, and they change personally in your personal life or your career life, and you're always making adjustments. So sometimes you have to spin those plates quicker because they're the fragile ones and they may drop and shatter. And sometimes they're the ones that bounce and you can recover them. So I've just found that you make those adjustments because what we adjust to, or what I've adjusted to, for instance, when my kids were younger, is much different than as they're older. And with aging parents, or COVID, pre-COVID, or what does post-COVID look like? So I like to keep that in mind because there's not a perfect formula, and there's some gives and takes on each of those because it's not a equation that stays the same. So that's sort of what I keep in mind to adjust and describe what I go through as I make those adjustments.
So it's funny that you mentioned juggling spinning plates, because that is a good segue into the next, conversation topic around how do you balance societal and family expectations with your career? How do you keep all those plates spinning?
I think it's important too that people that everyone sets their own expectation on themselves, right, of what the right balance for your own family is and for yourself. And as Brenda said, that might fluctuate from day to day or week to week or year to year, but being comfortable in what works for you is really important, not what society thinks it should be.
There are certain maybe themes that are more specific to women than maybe men. And I'm curious, Chisa, could I continue with you and tell us, are there still women's themes that you feel need more attention?
I do feel that it's not only a matter of gender, but also, when Brandy talked about her being a Black woman last time. But I also take the same view when I look at men, right? So men is also part of what's making this individual unique, and also, right?
I think that's a great point. And whether you identify as a woman, a man, non-binary, gender fluid, it all really comes down to who you are as a person. And I think, Chisa, that's so important, is getting to the root of embracing curiosity and seeking to understand a person's story to really get to know them at a deeper level.
We make it very hard on ourselves because what we try to do is be there for everything, try to do everything ourselves. At least that's my personal experience. Sometimes, letting someone else help you is, is something that we have to learn to do. But we want to be homemakers. We want to have that pristine home. We want to be successful at work, be there to do all of the things we need to at work, and then we make it very hard on ourselves. And if you're not blessed with a very supportive environment around you, it becomes very hard. And what happens then is that something needs to give, or you end up piling a lot of guilt on yourself. You end up thinking, oh my gosh, I'm failing at being a wonderful homemaker. My home is not pristine. There's dust on TV, there's dust on the surfaces, or things like that, right? So one of the things we have to highlight, I think, is, we are trying to do way more than our foremothers did. And we've to acknowledge that. And, even being a homemaker, is a full-time job. And we kind of obviously do two people's job at the same time. So we have to get help, or at least, give up on that,
The one thing that comes to mind, or when I think about this, is when we're looking at this, even at International Women's Day, we're talking about creating that inclusive world and bringing things together. And for me, that really is like the starting point that says, as we look at how do you make sure you're authentic? How do you move with your self-awareness? How do you live with intention? I see that mentorship and sponsorship being some real keys, because it provides a big mechanism to support others, get yourself ideas and inspiration, whether that be through training, examples, small experiences. So that mentorship and that sponsorship, that helps instill, you can be a lifelong learner, and you can advance, and you can be looking for different ways of accomplishing the same thing. So in my mind, those are the two things that really come to mind. And I don't know that those are just women's issues. I think those are, how do we become inclusive across the board? So those are what's key in my mind.
I think it comes back. The other thing I'd add is, again, it's not just, as you said, about, people who identify as women, right? But learning, I do think it's something that maybe we need to work on with our younger generation, is teaching them that it's okay to make mistakes. Making a mistake doesn't make you a failure, right? It just teaches you something. And building up the confidence in our youth, and I would say a lot in our teenage girls, that it's okay to fail. It's okay to make a mistake. It does not define you. It doesn't make you a failure. It's just one small part of your life that you learn from when you go on. To me, that's a focal point as we go forward, in enabling our next generation.
I'm curious if we could actually touch on any advice that you would offer to women across the company, and men and other non-binary, non-gender, aligning individuals. Is there any advice that you would have for them about how to continue pursuing their goals and their dreams in their career?
So one advice I would give is when you first start, find your people, or find people that you feel comfortable with, that you can ask anything to.
With our last question here, we're going to kind of circle back to the beginning where we were talking about work-life balance, work-life harmony. So we know that you have lives outside of your work here at Wind River. So we're curious, where will we find you on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m.?
I'll be in a golf course playing t-shirt. Well, play itself is great, but also I play golf with my customers and also my friends, my husband. Golf is very nice tool to get to know each other, to help them understand myself, and also vice versa. And you get to walk, and you get to exercise a little bit.
Where you can find me on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. It depends on my mood. Saturday is very relaxed time for me, and if I have a very strong week for the work, I maybe just let myself wake up and play with my cat, or maybe I'm in the park, or maybe I'm in cinema, maybe I'm in the coffee shop with my friends. So it totally depends on my mood. But anyway, I will try to make my schedule at least by the end of Friday evening, because it's a very good time for me, special time for me, trying to enjoy myself.
So at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, I'm planning what's going to happen that weekend. I got kids. I need them out of the house. I'm tired of looking at the same four walls, at least this year. Luckily, we're in California, so we're hiking with the dog. The dog needs to lose weight, says the vet. So we're all like outside. Everybody has to get out. I don't care how long we're out there, but we're out there, and I'm planning our hike or our trip for the weekend.
So we're avid hikers. So for us, the weather means in Arizona, you need to pick the right time of year and time of day. So 10 a.m. is not always optimal time. So if you're not out or completing the hike, you will be planning for it. And in between there, I plan my Saturdays after coffee, and in between that to catch up with family, friends, connect, and have those conversations that during the week just don't always present themselves. So it's some combination of doing some of that connection and then getting outside for what is, a 7 or 10 mile hike and enjoying the outdoors.
There are going to be plenty more opportunities to dig into diversity and inclusion here at Wind River. The commitment continues to drive it home that representation matters, and we're committed to building on the inclusive culture that we've already established.